Good afternoon. Today is Tuesday, March 30th. We're going to dive into members charts today. We'll also take a look at SPY, QQQ, and we'll dive into TLT. This is Patrick and you're trading with Prime. First thing is first, if you guys want us to take a look at the charts that you are looking at, the charts that you are setting up to enter, feel free, join the Discord. The link is in the description of the video. And we do have a free side. You can go ahead and comment or DM me every Tuesday. Also on Sundays, we do a live stream, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So don't miss out. First thing we're going to look at is SPY. Something that's kind of going on weird with the market lately, and we've actually talked about this last, I believe it was within the last month and a half, maybe we even talked about it for a couple months, this margin call that was on the hedge fund. I'm not exactly surprised. I mean, we see this astronomical margin that's being ran up higher than it ever has been in history, higher than the pre-2008 financial crisis, even higher than that at those times, higher than dot-com bubble. So there's something this is going to happen. I don't know exactly how it's going to affect the market just yet. We'll see if it spreads like wildfire or if it is just a contained thing. What we're being told is it's just a contained thing. But of course, even if it was being spread like wildfire, I would not expect them to say that, I wouldn't expect them to be truthful with us. So we don't know what's going to happen yet. All we can really do is follow price action. And so that's what we're going to look at today. We're going to look at price action. We're going to look at where we are on the chart, what I think is going on lately or of late. We do have a high up here of 398.12. I also have a previous high of 394.17, and that's this high back here. As long as the market is staying above this 394.17, we're pretty good. And so today the market closed back above that area. Right now we are setting up for this possible bull flag. I don't know if it's actually going to play out, but if it does, I'd be targeting around 402 to 405. But I don't know if that's what's actually going to happen. It is possible that we begin to fade this off, fade it away, just like the IWM did. The IWM did fade off that Friday afternoon bullish move. So we have to kind of look out for both scenarios. As long as SPY, actually, there will be a lot of support down in this area around 390.29. So even if we do fade that down into support, there's going to be a little bit of support down here. And by the way, we're above all three moving averages. So there is that, something to be mindful of. The Qs, taking a look at the Qs, all I can really do is just what is it showing us? What is going on here? One thing I know, we do have the high of 338.19, and then you have a lot of this selling off, bear flag, sell off, and now we're creating one large bull flag or possible bull flag. The only thing I don't like is that I feel like the chart at this point should have already made the move. It doesn't mean that it can't make the move, and it doesn't mean that it's going to sell off. I just would anticipate that the move should have already happened. As far as the bullish side goes, though, I do like that the chart is actually holding up. It isn't exactly selling off just yet. Maybe this whole move does get faded, but time will tell. We don't know what's going to happen yet. I don't like that we're below 2 of the 3 moving averages. I believe that there will be support now that there's been enough time in here as far as consolidation in this area. If we do fall down, I do believe that 300 will now become support. More support than if we had fallen like this back here on these days back here on around 310 to 315. Then I don't know. I don't think the support would hold. But now if we do fall back here, I think that would be good buying opportunity. Or if we can get above these highs just like this, draw a trend in here, get above the highs, that would be a good buying opportunity. Keep in mind there's going to be some resistance around 324.39, and that's a rough price. Let's just say 324. Okay, that's the Qs. Let's get into members charts. Again, link is in the description of the video. If you want us to take a look at your stocks, go ahead and join up, and we would love to do that for you on Tuesdays and Sundays. Okay, so the first thing we're going to look at is SWAV. And you guys are going to be walking through this with me. I've never looked at most of these charts. I have not seen, or I haven't seen them recently. So you guys are going to kind of see how I do it, walk through with me in real time. And this is what we want to see for bounce plays. And the first thing I notice is this prior areas of consolidation. And I do know that the market or this stock came down to that prior area of consolidation, back test, and now we've rallied away from that. And here's the back test. And now here we are putting in a higher high compared to this a little bit of consolidation right here. So this is definitely a low, a higher high, a higher high. Definitely bullish. I would be holding on to this one. You're probably going to see some resistance up here in this neighborhood of around 130. There's a gap fill at 130. I don't know the exact price, but there's a gap fill up here around 129.85, somewhere in that neck of the woods. Definitely something to hold on to. I am not one to take this kind of a trade as far as to the long side. I would want to see a little bit more, maybe a pullback type of a play, and then we could be dip buyers in here. Other than that, I don't like to chase price out of these breakouts unless I get some sort of a pullback. Let's take a look at MO. There's two ways we can look at this. Well, first of all, if you are in this, as far as long-term speaking, MO does pay a little bit better dividends than a lot of other names, so there is something to be said about that. As far as the recent price action, we could say that there's a failed breakout in here. Here's the high, and of course we broke out, putting in a high of 52.59, and since then we have sold off back below this 52 level. And so one way of looking at this is it is a failed breakout. But the only thing is, this two candlesticks on an entire chart I wouldn't consider. Yes, we know that the market put in a high there, and then it sold off a little bit and put in a higher low, and then created a higher high, and now it pulled back just underneath the prior area, these prior highs right here. Now, had this been a chart where it was doing something like this, like over the span of like 6 months or a year, and then broke out and then failed, I would consider that a failed breakout, and I would expect lower prices, much lower prices. This, I wouldn't necessarily suspect that. I think just a little bit of consolidation. It's possible that we come all the way down like this towards the 50 and then possibly put in higher lows, higher highs. But let's just see what happens over the next couple days / weeks. This one's getting a little bit extended, so try to take it easy just a little bit. I like the chart though. VVV, excuse me. So VVV, definite uptrend. You don't really need me to tell you that it's in an uptrend. It's higher lows, higher highs. As far as resistance, you're gonna have resistance up here around 26.95, and you definitely have some support down here around 25.30. So again, as far as taking a trade out of this, I don't know necessarily where the trade setup would actually be. You can see how it broke through this weekly chart resistance of 22.94 and back tested, and then has been taking off. So this isn't necessarily my kind of a trade setup as far as going long at this point. However, if I was already in this trade, that is something that I would definitely hold on to. I don't think there's any reason to sell this. I do also see this breakout right here. Breakout, back test. This was possibly the day to get in back here, or maybe even yesterday's low was a good entry. But right now, while we're in this consolidation area, I don't know about taking this until we consolidate and then break out. I'd be willing to take something like that. Let's go to the next one, HD. Phenomenal chart. This one definitely has a breakout. You can kind of see this pattern in here, resistance, and we ran right up to that area. I would have went long at that point. I chose not to. In fact, I took a short trade right here. I actually got stopped out. The reason why I was taking the short trade was just based on this pattern right here, and I should have known better looking at that. It was just a little bit too obvious. And I wasn't expecting HD because of this massive run just like this. I was thinking a little bit more time would have to develop before it could break out, or maybe I get a move like this and pull back in price, and that's why I took the short trade. But since then we broke out, I don't think there's a trade here. I'm not willing to pay $305. I'd be looking for a trade if it pulled back to 290 or if it pulled back at all. If you're already in this trade though, there's no reason to close it out. I think it can develop support down here around $300. But then again, we are extremely extended. It's been going straight up for a couple of weeks. So just be mindful of where you're entering and exiting trades. PINS. Let's throw this in the category or in the camp of the hedge fund that blew up. And the reason why I say that is this one is up quite a bit from the March lows. We have, here's the April low of $13. So there is something to be said about that. We're already up here about 470%. You're going to see a lot of possible movement out of these companies, and the companies that ran the hardest, I would expect a lot more move out of them. But technically speaking, we are above support. of around $70, and we're below resistance. We're almost in the middle there. We're getting pinched between two of the moving averages. So I'm not sure about a trade being set up just yet. I don't like how there was this massive down move and now we're consolidating. I know it's a wide consolidation range, but that's technically a bear flag and it could play out to the downside. But if you are in a long trade, just know where your stop loss is going to be, maybe underneath this last pivot around $66. I wouldn't be surprised to see this thing kind of pull back a little bit. And beyond that, if there's something else I kind of notice here, you do have this giant bear flag pattern that's playing out or consolidating. I also notice another bear flag right in here. As far as something that's bullish, maybe something that we could, I don't know about total confirmation, but you do have a low down here and you have a higher low. So there's something to be said about that. I almost see two patterns in one. Here's another pattern right here, which is technically speaking a bull flag. So you have a lot going on, and for that reason, I personally would not be looking to take a trade when there's that much going on. But if you're in that trade, like I said, just know where your stop loss is going to be. TLT, we had a trade alert in TLT today, and I am holding the full position. We'll see what happens tomorrow. I don't like to call this a bottom just yet. I don't know if this 133 is going to be the bottom, just like we see in the dollar lately. We noticed that the US dollar, bottoms are created over time, right? So we're looking for something like this. So it might pull back, it might rally here, it might pull back. It'll really fake us out before it really takes off, just like we saw in UUP. And right now what I was looking for is you had this move off of the bottom here. Let me zoom in just a little bit more so you guys can kind of see what I was looking at. So you had this move off the bottom, and then what I did is I drew Fibonacci and I just pulled it back. It's about halfway, maybe the 60 in the 60 percentiles, but about 50 to 60%. And so that's kind of what I was looking at. Another thing that can be said is there's a high right here. Actually, this high could be another lower high as opposed to these ones up here. That's one way of looking at it. Another way is looking at it like, here's the low, here's a high. Are we going to create a higher low before we create another higher high? That is yet to be seen. We don't know that yet. One thing I don't like is I don't like the down move and it's consolidating. I would rather see this get back above yesterday's high, and that would give me a little bit more confidence in the trade, but we are still in a position in TLT. Let's look at rail. I apologize for talking fast. I want to get this video out to you guys, and as you know, YouTube likes to spend a day and a night trying to buffer the video. So looking at rail, we are consolidating in a bullish fashion. It looks like we had this breakout back test of $4.56. If you're in this trade, there's no reason to close it out. I would say this. I would say put a stop loss just underneath this last pivot, or possibly even just below 450. And the reason for that is that was the breakout area. And so there's no reason, price has no business being back down below 450. If it does go back down below 450, I think you could see much lower prices, possibly even to 350 or 360. So I think that'd be a good stop loss area, maybe 445 if you're already in this trade. I would not enter this trade. I would not open up a new position unless you already have a good price. Let's go to the weekly time frame and see what we can see. Weekly time frame, it looks like it has a lot more that it can run. I think we could definitely see some more movement in here. As far as risk versus reward, this is definitely beginning to be a lot more reward as far as to the upside as opposed to risk to the downside. I believe you could have, the chart really could come all the way down to 332 and still be bullish on the weekly time frame. So there's definitely could be a lot of room in here. So again, like I said, be mindful. If you're entering the trade up here at $5, you have to be able to withstand that movement all the way back down to support on the weekly time frame. But as far as short trades, if you were looking at some sort of possible short, I don't think it's there yet. I would let this thing blow off a little bit of steam or give us some more evidence. This is another possibility, higher lows, higher highs. We could see a pullback, something like this to trend. And by then, maybe the trend's a little bit higher. So well done if you are in that trade. INVU, we had a trailer on INVU a couple days ago, and I like this chart. And actually, I'll be honest with you guys, I kind of stole this technical analysis from somebody else. So I like this price action. It had a breakout, and this is the wedge bullish consolidation bull flag. You could also draw it like this. And what we saw last Friday is we saw a breakout, and then coming into Monday, we had it just took off, and it took off without us. I waited for the pullback down to around 26 cents was my buy entry. It pulled all the way down to 26 cents, and then it has rallied since then. I closed out half the position this morning at market open. and then I let price do its thing. I'm going to hold on to it. And the analysis I saw on a gentleman that did this, I apologize about not remembering who it was. The analysis that he did, he showed how there was 80 Bitcoin being mined each month, as opposed to Mara and Riot, and which are not incredibly much higher than this company, INVU. The thing is I believe Riot and Mara, that's all they do, is they just do mining. This company has a lot more than just mining that it does, so a lot more areas of revenue stream. I'm not sure why it broke out. All I know is that it broke out Friday, and then maybe this was the continuation on Monday. So I'm holding half. Let's see what happens over the next couple of weeks / months. DISCA. So DISCA, I've been interested in some of these. Then we're actually going to take a look at VIAC here pretty soon. But like I was saying, a lot of these stocks, you could call this a bubble. I don't want to offend anybody, but that's what it looks like. It looks like a blow off top kind of scenario. I don't know what the news, maybe there was some sort of offer. It was probably a stream of bad news in here. Maybe it was an offering, and then maybe it was something else. And then maybe it was, maybe they got caught up in the whole banks lending people money that they shouldn't be lending money to. I don't really know what the news is behind it, but what I do know is this is consolidating in a bearish fashion. I know it doesn't feel like that because it put in a low down here around the moving average and then bounced off of that. But right now, until it gets above, probably halfway down this candle, and in fact, let's go to a lower time frame. And you can kind of see why it came down to this area. It was almost prior highs, and I'm going to do this. This was back here in 2019. If I pull this straight across, you can kind of see where it broke out in this area right here. It back tested down here, which you guys could probably barely see it on your screen. And then since then, it has just been going straight up. So it's expected that these stocks that will do this when there are too many people loaded in one side of the boat. This usually is what happens. It's a game of musical chairs. As far as can you be a buyer in this price area, one thing I'll say is this, is that you could technically be long. You have a reversal candle right here on the hourly time frame. It put in a bull flag, and it has since then broken out, and now we're consolidating in another bull flag. If we break out, I'd be targeting halfway up this candle right here around price area around 51. And I also see prior consolidation back here, resistance, possible resistance around 51.40. I'd be targeting this first moving average. This could be one large dead cat bounce. Maybe it'll head up here and then possibly roll over again. I don't really know. I think if you're long-term speaking, this is a good company to be long-term, and I think that it would be worth the while as far as holding out for the long-term. DISCA, let's go to TME. And by the way, guys, my analysis is just my opinion of these companies. It's my opinion. So don't just take a trade or close a position based off of what I am saying. Do your own due diligence. Really look at this company. I can definitely be wrong. It doesn't mean that the price is going to do something magically tomorrow. I've been wrong before, and I want you to do your own analysis on it. I'm just kind of showing you, if you are about to get into a trade, I want to show you guys just to have another set of eyes on it, just to give you the opposite side of the trade that you're taking. If you're long, maybe I'm short, and I want to give you my viewpoint. If I'm short, I want to know what your bullish viewpoint is, right? Leave a comment under the video. Let me know what you think as far as that goes. Okay, off of that. Sorry, I had to get that out. Okay, so TME, same kind of scenario. I don't know what the news is. It's definitely not bullish as far as this was an area of consolidation on the daily chart. There's no reason why price should have shot through there like a hot knife through butter, but that's what it did. And now it's creating on a daily chart a bear flag pattern that I don't suspect will play out necessarily. That's just one way of looking at it. Another way to look at it is it did come back here and it came back and back tested this prior breakout area, and I'm going to kind of highlight that. Not only is it a prior breakout area, but there was consolidation in this area right here. Price broke out. Now we're coming back in for a back test, and since then we've taken off. I'm going to go to a lower time frame, and you'll probably see some bull flags, which would be a little bit relieving if you're long in this trade. And let me see if I can get it to zoom in here. Okay, here we go. And sometimes when you see this where the market will sell off like this, even if it is a dead cat bounce, it could be worth taking to the upside. But you do see a low down in here. If I put this on a 2-hour chart, you might even see this as being a reversal candle. We do have a breakout. It found some resistance up in this area, which is what it's doing right now. It's having a hard time getting through that area. I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of times what happens if a price can't get through resistance, sometimes it'll gap over it. So keep that on watch for in the morning time. You might see This is a bull flag pattern. Maybe it'll play out to the upside. You'll definitely see some more resistance up here around $24. But I think that at a certain point, that'll be too easy for the bulls. I think the chart will want to fake you out. So it's not going to go straight up. It might pull back, kind of fake you out and do something like that and try to catch one of those higher lows. TME, VIAC. Let's see here. Did we go over TLT and rail? I think we did. Hopefully. Okay, so if we did, this is the last one then. VIAC, same kind of scenario. Let's put on the daily chart first. And what do we see? We see a chart selling off. You see the musical chairs playing out. Probably, like I was saying, I know nothing about this company, but it was probably some sort of bad news up here. Offering / maybe the executives are selling shares. I have no idea what it is. Maybe there's several days of several bad pieces of news because it's going through every single support area. That's not what we want to see as far as a chart being bullish. But is this a good area to go long? Let's take a look at the lower time frames. You can kind of see right here when I put on the hourly chart, you can see this prior area of resistance / consolidation. This was a prior breakout area. So I think that's why it came back to back test around 40. But not only that, what is it down 60%? So it was down 60.17%. That's a good buying opportunity in a bull market. That's a phenomenal buying opportunity if you were able to catch that. If you actually waited for the low, because a lot of times what people will do is they'll try to pick these bottoms in here and then just kind of get crushed, and then eventually they're going to be right. But you just got to be careful with that. Let's zoom in just a little bit more. One thing is kind of for sure, I don't know what the short interest is on this name, but if this begins to rally, it could rally really fast. You could see 60, 70 bucks within a matter of a couple days. I don't know if that's actually going to happen or not. This is not too convincing because what I see in here is two patterns in one. Let me zoom in just a little bit more. The only thing I find a little bit scary, well, you do have a reversal candle down in here, and then since then it has consolidated in a bullish fashion. So you could see a run up of this high up here, and I'll give you the price. $57.98, call it $58. There's probably going to be some resistance around $58. If this breaks out, so that's one of the patterns. Is a bull flag, it could break out, right? That's one of the patterns. Another one is this is a down move, and then you have a bear flag pattern. So keep that on your radar, like just be mindful of that. You could put a line down on the bottom. You could put a line right up here on top, and then take the trade going out of this, or I wouldn't necessarily short this in the hole, actually, to be honest with you, but I would love to take the trade out of this for sure, 100%. Okay, that's it for this video. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Hit the like button if you gain value out of this. Feel free to share it with a friend, and we will see you guys in the next video.